move on here. So again, this is like Chad said, the Terry and Terry show, but we'll just jump in here. So basically what we're going to be talking about is that Microsoft has announced that basic authentication will be deprecated in Exchange Online October 1st of this year. And then there's just a footnote there about basically it's a security risk, and that's the reason why Microsoft is going this route. So the screenshot you see here is basically in your email preferences what server type you have. And when that is Exchange, that's where we're talking about is those people that have Exchange set as their type here. So here's basically the story or the rundown of what version you're on and what to consider moving forward. If you're on currently on 18.3 or 18.4, you will have to enable modern authentication, and there's a link to that document here. And again, Terry, you can jump in anytime, and if you want to explain anything more as far as any of these items are.
Yeah, so 18.3, 18.4, we'd love you to be on GP 18.4, but if you're just on GP 18.3, it's going to work for you. But they've definitely made some fixes and some modifications of of a few little minor issues that they discovered with GP 18.3. But if you're on one of those, then yeah, it's just a matter of your IT person or whoever manages your Office 365 environment to go in and set up an application ID. And as Terry Peterson said, there's a link that's going to step you through that process.
Great. And so if you're not on those versions, then what you want to do is consider upgrading to those versions to 18.3 or 18.4 because as we stated earlier, October 1st is the cutoff on that. And I think let me so basically if you're using, and I think that might be on the next slide here. Did I miss a slide here, Terry? I'm sorry.
Nope, we have very few slides.
Very few slides here. Yeah. All right. Okay. So if you're on an earlier version, like we said, you'll want to consider upgrading as soon as possible. And what we suggest as far as that goes is to contact us so we can review your current configuration, what version you're on, and what that means. There is a workaround that Microsoft is saying that will work if you absolutely cannot upgrade. By then, as we know, many people have a lot of configurations where they've got third parties, they've got that type of thing. So MAPI is a workaround. So we can investigate that as well, because like I said, we know that many people aren't going to be able to make that deadline depending on what type of configuration you have.
And the other thing to realize is that Microsoft is saying October 1st, but if it's working for you on October 1st, don't think, oh, we've escaped this. It's not real. They're going to start on October 1st, but they're going to be rolling those out, and they're going to start with some international customers. Is kind of what they're saying, but they could start with anybody starting October 1st. But by the end of the year, they plan to have basic authentication turned off for all users. So just know, just because it's still working for you on 10.1 doesn't mean it's not going to continue to work, on 10.15.
Right. Thank you, Terry. So these are some of the resources where we're taking this information from, and the links to those. So we've published that information so people can take a look at that. But again, I think what we're saying, the best bet is to contact us at Implementation Specialists, so we can review with you what version you currently have, what functionality you're currently using within GP, and including third parties as well. If you're using email processes through those, as well as what is your email server choice, and are you affected? So those are the main things to consider when looking at this particular October 1st deadline. Are there any questions, Chad? I guess if anybody has any questions, or Terry, do you have anything else to add?
Yeah, questions. I'm sure people have questions.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not seeing any questions as of now. So all of you out there
Okay.
listening, send in any questions you have. I'm sure there's got to be some questions going on, and this is a very important topic. So please send those questions in, guys.
Yeah.
While you might be just kind of in the meantime, we'll let people gather their thoughts. I'll be showing a couple more slides here regarding like our GPUC event coming up in November. So please be on the lookout for that, and I'll pop that slide up with a QR code even. But yeah, guys, feel free to send any questions you have. This is Terry and Terry both have a lot of great information and knowledge about this topic. So now is your chance to kind of pick their brain, if you will. So we'll just kind of hang out here and see if any come through, and kind of go from there.
And I backed it up to the slide here again to show the date, and like Chad said too, this is a handout, and the resources that have the information on them are included in the handout. And again, we are more than willing and would love to talk to you about, like I said, what version you're on, if there's confusion on that, as well as how this affects you, because I think it's a big deal, obviously, with what Microsoft has announced.
Hey, so we got our first question from Jean. Jean is wondering, do you have to upgrade if you don't use the email functionality within GP?
Nope. Well, we always want you to upgrade, but but no, this is specifically
Right.
if you're not using email functionality in GP, then you are fine, and this will not affect you.
And I think the key there too, right, is that you want to be aware of any third parties that you have, or any other things that you have that are using email, because those could affect that. So that's a case where you probably want to, you'd want to reach out to us and make sure.
And
Okay.
I've been having these conversations with customers who don't think that they're emailing out of GP, and then I'm like, well, but what about such and such? And so if you're not sure, are we emailing out of GP, not emailing out of GP? A lot of times I will then take you to tools, setup, company, and then email settings. And if you're there and you click on either purchasing or sales and it comes up with an email address, there's a good chance that there's somebody in your organization who's sending emails out of GP. So that might be one thing to check on.
Yeah, and Terry, as you were talking, a couple more questions that came in. This one from Travis, he's wondering if you're running a client server setup with an in-house server, does multi-factor authentication still affect us?
And you're talking a Exchange server, or are you talking an in-house GP server?
He's running client server setup with an in-house server. Yeah, I don't know if Travis,
an
if you
Exchange
can...
is on premise, because that's what Terry's getting at there. Is that's one of the keys that that Microsoft is saying is that if you're running Exchange server on a premise, that this shouldn't affect you.
And a caveat to that is, and we would definitely want to have a conversation with you, is a caveat to that is it might affect you. But we could probably find a workaround for you in this case. So just be aware it might affect you, and we should probably look at what your setup does look like and have that conversation with you.
Right.
Yeah, Travis just followed up and said GP server on premise.
Oh, GP server on-prem, yeah. I mean, it's not the GP server that we're concerned about. It is, hey, are you using Exchange on-premise or are you using Office 365? Or are you using a third-party app? And if you're using a third-party app like Gmail, what you're probably going to find is that your server type setting and system preferences is set to MAPI and not to Exchange.
Right, and that's the screen that's currently showing here, where you see what's circled there is Exchange. If it's set to something other than Exchange, that's where they're saying you should be okay. So if it is MAPI, you should be okay.
Yeah, and Travis said that they're using Office 365.
Yep. So yes, so they are affected.
They are affected, yes.
Okay, and a couple more questions here. I appreciate the questions, guys. Keep them coming. Laura is wondering if you're using something like Liaison, excuse the pronunciation there, Liaison Messenger, will you need to upgrade?
That's an awesome question. That's one that we specifically with Liaison need to follow up with. Because your Liaison is outside of GP, right?
Yeah, Laura, if you want to clarify that, we could.
Yeah, I mean that's one we do need to clarify that we need to follow up with. Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah, I mean, if you're using something for emailing and it is within GP, there's a good chance that it's using GP functionality, but outside of GP, we're going to want to follow up. So I will take that on.
Oops, had to take myself off mute, sorry. And then I don't know if this is I think it's just a kind of a Brad's commenting more accurately. It is only if you are emailing via 365 email server. I think that's just more of a comment than a question, I'm assuming.
Yeah, it would be Office 365 or Exchange, not on on-prem.
Yeah, so just to clarify, because when you see that, I mean, if you are using Office 365, this will definitely affect you. Absolutely. And sometimes looking at that server type under system preferences, it's a little misleading, but you choose Exchange as your server type if you're using Office 365 or if you're using Exchange on-prem and you have a 64-bit Outlook client. You choose for your server type MAPI if you're not using one of those two products, or if you're using Exchange Prem with 32-bit Outlook. So those are kind of when you make those decisions or why you make those decisions for server type, which for us means 90% of the people who are using Exchange are using Office 365.
Yeah, and Laura just followed up from her previous question. She said that her situation is kind of both inside and outside.
Got it.
So any other questions, anyone? A lot of good questions and great answers. So anyone out there has any more questions, now's your chance. Terry and Terry, did either of you have any other content or information you wanted to say at this point before I kind of move on to the final couple of slides here and kind of wrap things up? I certainly don't want to rush it.
Yeah, I don't think so. Other than like we said, is that it can be a little bit confusing, and that's why we would suggest just to contact us, and we can have that conversation to make sure that you have a peace of mind and know that going forward, either you are you fall into this realm of you'll be affected on October 1st, or you won't be affected. So I think that's the key that everyone wants to make sure that they know for sure where they're at with that. And if they can't upgrade, then we can pursue workarounds and talk about that.
Okay, fantastic. I'm not seeing any other questions. I'll kind of take the reins back here, guys. Thank you so much, Terry and Terry, for your information today. It was very helpful, and thanks to all of you for all the great questions you had and for tuning in today. One couple last items here. As I mentioned earlier, GPUC is our Great Plains User Conference coming up here November 14th through the 18th. So make sure that you join us for that. We'd love to have you guys out there at the Microsoft campus, and so be on the lookout. We'll be sending out promotional items to more information about that here in the coming weeks. So just to make you aware of that. And finally, just our contact information. As Terry mentioned, if you have any questions about this or anything for that matter, but especially related to this, please reach out to us. That's what we're here for, is to help you guys. So please reach out. There's our contact information, and let us know if we can ever be of assistance about anything, and especially related to this 18.4 MFA topic. So please reach out and let us know. We'd be happy to help you. But otherwise, with that being said, thank you so much, Terry, for both Terry and Terry for your presentation today, and thanks to all of you for joining us. We appreciate your time. Let us know if we can ever be a teacher. With that being said, be on the lookout too for that recording. And with that being said, I hope all of you enjoy the rest of your Thursday. And thanks so much, everybody. Take care.